This past, but the only thing they couldn't find the WCW TV title belt. I don't know where that one is myself, but they found everything else. Did you watch the Booker T WWE Treasures program this week?
I did. I think I may have liked it better than the other ones.
Really? Well, I liked seeing the old footage of Lawler, even though they didn't really find anything, because Bill's had Andy's neck braced for 35 years or whatever. This show seems too easy. They talk about these things that the holy grail items that they want to have and want to recover. And we've got to figure out some way to get these back. And then invariably, without even showing any, I'd get into it if they showed like research. Like part of the curse of Oak Island is seeing the procedure that they go to dig all these holes, drill all these holes, analyze all these ores and metals and carbon date all these materials. Here, it's like they don't even tell you that they made 15 phone calls or whatever. They just go to a guy's place and he hands it to them. So there's no search here. And secondly, the items themselves are somewhat specious as far as holy grails because they decided they wanted Booker's king robe from SummerSlam. And we find out by the end of the program, the reason why there's no Booker T stuff out there on the market is because he never sells his shit. And he sold this one for the Houston hurricane relief. And that's how this guy got it. So the one robe that Booker T is actually sold to somebody out in public, that's the one that they had to go back get back. There's no search. There's no triumph. It's like, okay, we're going to talk about this. We're going to show some footage of when it was on television, and then we're going to go try to find it. And the first or second place that they show up, they hand it to them. And then they contrive to haggle over a deal that has already been made. And that's it. And the only bit of intrigue this time was that they couldn't find the original WCW World TV title belt, which I can believe because they said Hacksaw Duggan sold it to somebody in Florida, and I can believe that 20 years ago. I don't know. What did you think? You said you liked it. It's a decent, it's potato chip viewing for an hour, but
That's what it is. It's a stupid, lighthearted, can't take it seriously kind of show where they prearrange with everyone and they set it up. I think, and I could be wrong, but I think this is one of the episodes they tried to get me to be a part of. Because one of the emails I got from A&E was looking for Junkyard Dog memorabilia, specifically boots.
Oh, okay. Yeah, there was a big deal. They asked me about the Kane and Undertaker, obviously because of Smoky Mountain Wrestling, and so we didn't do posters. I could show you the fucking VHS tape of the match, whatever. But can
you imagine if they came to my house? Can you imagine?
Let's just take you into the Arcadian Vanguard section, and there's the Wrestling News file room, and there's a
Booker T. What are you doing here?
Do you have anything related to Booker T?
To Booker T?
Yeah.
If anything, maybe an early G.I. Bro promo pic, maybe.
It's
kind of the era where I don't really collect things from that era.
See, that's the thing is our collections are mainly more vintage because I don't even collect the magazines after what? When did they downsize the London publishing magazines and use crummier paper? 93. That's when I quit collecting magazines. But anyway, but this show, the premise at the start when he said, I really like to try to find the WCW TV title belt, they can't say belt. So I'd love to find the WCW TV championship, which Vince has made these people use this verbiage that does not make sense because to avoid saying the word belt. And it's jarring that now some of them don't realize that they're saying words that don't make sense because they think that you call a belt a title or a championship. Booker again said the cover reason for him leaving the WWE was not to go to TNA, but it was to go home and have kids. And did you love these? I just wrote just random observations. Stephanie McMahon, these words came out of her mouth. We made the most we could out of the WCW invasion in 2001.
Yeah, when I heard that, because I think she probably believes it. That's the crazy thing.
I think she does, because she was still young then, but yeah, let me just remind everybody that, and this does not count for Triple H, but Shane and Stephanie, along with Vince McMahon, never watched any other people's wrestling, ever. And I'm sure that changed when Triple H got together with Stephanie. Maybe it didn't. I don't know. Maybe he, watched things in private. But so they didn't have any functional understanding of the guys in WCW, how over they had been or weren't at that point or still were, where they were over in the country, what the whole 9 yards. It was total foreign soil. Where did the guy in New Jersey get all that shit? Where would you get the Stone Cold Steve Austin cooler? Unless he stole it from Mike Chioda at Raw or something.
Yeah, you become friends with the guys who sit at ringside. They'll give you stuff for money usually.
Well, as a matter of fact, I just answered the question and you just confirmed it, didn't I? Because the referees and Chioda and Chimmel and the ring announcers and oh God, what's the guy's name? I can see his face and I can't remember his name. He's a great guy, but he was always around the corner of the ring to make sure all the gimmicks got collected. Anyway, so the guy in New Jersey's got a bunch of stuff. It's all modern stuff. That's where they mentioned that. That's where he got his Booker robe, was for hurricane relief. But then what is it, superhero in training? What's the guy's name? AC?
I forget his name.
I'm thinking of D-Lo, AC Connor, D-Lo Brad, AJ something.
Superstar in training.
AJ Benza. No, he's on Entertainment Tonight or something. Anyway, AJ. He or one of the people made the comment that Booker T was the first black character in wrestling that wasn't presented as a stereotype. I know some people, well, a couple of them are not still living. Ernie Ladd would be fucking wanting to put a size 17 shoe up somebody's ass if he's being portrayed as a stereotype. Bearcat Wright, Ron Simmons. I could go on, but that was...
Maybe it mean everyone who worked for Vince Jr. after he took over the company.
Okay, now, well, and actually, and anybody who worked for Vince Sr. really back in the old day, well, Vince Sr. wasn't that bad. Bobo's headbutt was the closest thing to stereotypical about Bobo, Brazil.
Yeah, and you had Bobo, you had Sonny King, you had Bearcat Wright.
Sonny King, it was the last thing besides a stereo. Sonny King would fuck you up if you called him a stereotype of a black man. So that was just insulting, because not that there have not, and Vince did most of them, but not that there have not been stereotypical portrayals of African Americans in wrestling, but to say that Booker T was the first one that was not a stereotype is putting the WWE over for being the first one to break that stereotype, when they're the ones that probably perpetuated it more than most other promotions. So it's all self-serving. I despise every time Stephanie McMahon says the word character. Her character was such that she would do this. And Kate, oh, God damn it. They have to just hold you down and slap you about in the face with this is all fake and scripted and phony. They tried to sell they tried to trade Booker's trunks and Charmel's dress and $2,500 for this robe, and the guy wanted the trunks, the dress, and $10,000. So then they go all the way to fucking Texas to visit Steve Austin, because they know the guy's a Steve Austin fan, and he takes the dress, the trunks, and a fucking Skype call from Steve Austin instead of even the $2,500. Is Austin on Cameo?
Yeah,
If he is, then he could have taken the $2,500 they offered him, but bought the cameo and still had something left over. Couldn't he?
I was going to say, when he said, I want $10,000, and they said, well, we can't do that, he should have said, well, take it out of your travel budget. Because the whole show, they're flying all over the country. Take it out of that budget, and I'll give you this robe.
Yeah. Instead of buying Booker and you both plane tickets down to Texas and taking that camera crew to shoot Austin, giving me a fucking Skype call on his laptop, just take that cash and throw it in on fucking hell. And you know, and I love Steve Austin, but it's the same thing. They had to glorify all of it. Booker was just a get in the ring and wrestle kind of guy. But then when he got to the WWE, then he opened up all the entertainment they did, where they fought in a grocery store and they fought in a fucking gas station and they fought in a library or whatever the fuck. It's getting insufferable that I know that this is a co-promotion with the WWE, but do they have to crow about how great all of their shit was when everything else sucked, when it was the exact opposite of the case, and they've hoked up almost everybody that they've fucking brought in over the last 20 years. It was nice seeing footage of Austin beating Bobby Eaton for the TV title. They went to Florida to look for the TV title belt, and god damn it, I was like, when they pulled up that house, I was like, who the fuck have they gone to see? It's Dan Lambert from American Top Team. I met him at the TNA tapings when Lashley was working with them, and they had the group of shooters that was coming to do the invasion of TNA or Impact or Global Force, whatever the fuck it was back then. And he's a heck of a guy, hilarious fucking wrestling fan. Just he knows everything, and he was cutting good promos too, because he has the gift of gab. But I'd seen some of his belts, but I had no idea he had that many, and those are all originals. He wasn't fucking bullshitting. He has the NWA World Tag Team belt that Raging Bull took off with, that Klondike Bill had just refinished after we lost him, and I wanted to win them back. That's why I got replicas. He's got the national tag team belts from Georgia, Bruiser's WWA belt, 2 or 3 Nikita Molkovich 70s WWF/NWF style belts, the AWA belt, a Southeastern belt. Those were just the ones that I could freeze frame and catch. You had to fucking drool over that shit.
I'm not really a belt guy, but it was pretty cool.
Oh, come on. You got to put something over. Just the history. Look who held Bruiser's belt. Dick the Bruiser. Bruiser Brody. The Masked Strangler Guy Mitchell. All the top stars.
What killed me? In like 96, Harry White, the late great Harry White, said to me, oh, last, I wish I would have known you a few years ago. I would have given you the Missouri State title. Oh. And he meant it because he had it, because he got everything from Pat O'Connor's widow.
Yeah. I didn't know. I never got a chance at the belt. I bought the programs. I didn't even know the belt was around.
I believe he sold it to someone in Japan. But he would have just given it to me. He told me that, so.
Well.
That would have been the start of my belt collection.
I don't know whether I believe him or not. I believe he told you that. I don't know whether when push come to shove, he would have just handed you that belt. When there was Koji in Japan going for, I'll give you 10 grand or whatever.
That's the other thing. I don't think it was even like in the 90s.
Yeah, Koji would have been, 4 years old or something, 30-something.
Well, no, but in the 90s, I don't think it was even like $1,000. I don't think he got that much.
I gave Julie $1,000 for the set of programs in 1990. I would have given her more than that for the belt.
Oh, well, maybe then. Who knows?
See, but don't expect Cornette to be a sucker these days, though, people. I drive hard bargains these days. Anyway, so then they strike out because he has one of the older TV title belts, but he doesn't have the one they're looking for. So they pivot to Junkyard Dog's collar and chain, and they go to ask Teddy Long, which
Teddy, you're black. Where would the Junkyard Dog's dog collar be?
I mean, I love Theodore. I love Teddy Long. We've been friends for, when did he start refereeing? 1987? We've been friends for 35 years almost. He's been on the show here. I love Teddy Long. They had pictures of Teddy in the same match as Junkyard Dog, and Teddy was not at the time a close friend in Junkyard Dog's social circle. But he is an African-American talent that they have access to. It's either on a Legends contract or just they have access to, that they had pictures of in the ring with the Junkyard Dog. But anyway, Teddy sent them to Illinois to talk to somebody that apparently is an ex-wrestler on the independent scene up there and now has a wrestling collection, and he had JYD's collar. It was never said. I assume that he was probably on a show with JYD and fucking bought it. How would he have gotten it? Was it ever explained how he came in possession of JYD's collar?
Didn't they say it was something with like his grandfather? His grandfather got it, or his dad got it because he was a big wrestling fan, and it wasn't explained how, but
it was starting to get late, and I was starting to get drowsy. But anyway, somehow Teddy Long knew this guy in Illinois, and they went up there, and he had, of course, had the collar. And the way that old what's this? The host name? I keep saying AJ Benza. It's AJ something, not AJ Lee. We know her. Anyway, old AJ said, well, I'll check, and he puts it on. Like, if it fits around my neck, that means it's the legitimate Junkyard Dog collar. I'm glad you're not working for Heritage Auctions, pal. If that's the way you authenticate that. Yeah, this has to be William Shakespeare's robe. He had arms the same length as mine. There you go. I don't know. Maybe next week it'll be more entertaining with Sarge and Sergeant Slaughter and the Iron Sheik. Maybe
it should be. It has to be. Although they keep showing the one clip in the preview of Sarge saying he would hit you with that boot and it would just bust you open or whatever. But every time they show the clip of him doing it, it's when the Sheik would send him in, and you know how Sarge would always do that thing where he would jump past the turnbuckle.
He'd go over the top turnbuckle head first into the post and get his juice on the way back. And by the time he landed, he was already bleeding and you never saw nothing.
Yeah, so that's the clip they keep showing when he says he got run into the boot. He got run into the post. Yeah. It's right there.
Well, but the post had a boot on it. Anyway, I guarantee you one thing, that regardless of what they look for on WWE Treasures, right? Regardless of what they look for, they're going to find it, except, you know what they're not going to find, Brian? They're not going to find pubic hair on anybody that's a customer of Manscaped, because it just doesn't exist anymore, because you can eradicate and exfoliate and eliminate those nasty, curly, sweaty, stinky pubes, you know, especially in the summertime, Brian. You got curly pubic hair. It gets sweaty down there in the canyons and the valleys, over there in Death Valley when you go across the crispy canyon and you get into the old Hershey Highway. A lot of crusty stuff comes up. It can stick to the hair. The odor, there's mildew. You don't want that. You want to be, I'm telling you, it's a terrible thing to smell like a man eating Fremunda cheese in the septic tank of a slaughterhouse in between your crotchal areas. It's a terrible thing. And the mildew. And then if you get black mold, you've got to have a crew come in. You got to get those people to come in and, what do they call it, mitigate the black mold, because you'll never get laid again if your crotch gets black mold, folks. Especially if you don't have good homeowners or at least renters insurance. So nevertheless, you can stop all these problems with the fine products from Manscaped and a new product alert, the Ultra Smooth Package. It's a special groin shaving kit, as they say, but I think you can use it in a variety of areas. It helps you buff, protect, and smooth your most sensitive areas. The new crop shaver, the crop exfoliator, and the crop gel. Hold on, I will pick this box up. Right here. The crop exfoliator is a gentle exfoliant for your groin area. And I know that, and it says it in 3 different languages on the tube. Also, the clear groin shaving gel, because you don't just want to do this dry, folks. That would not be good. And then the deluxe, incredible, holy mackerel, it's showtime, the crop shaver. This incredible, small, handheld, but ergonomically pleasing razor with a triple blade and the lubricating strips comes complete in its own little carrying case. It looks like you're opening up designer sunglasses. And you will be slicker than whale shit in an ice floe, slicker than cum on a gold tooth when you finish using these products. The Ultra Smooth package is brand new from Manscaped. And if you go to manscaped.com and use the code JCE, you're going to get 20% off and free shipping, not only on this brand new shaving kit, but on anything site-wide. 20% off and free shipping with the code JCE at manscaped.com. Smooth it out, fellas. Your balls will thank you. And by the way, we mentioned last week on the program that incredible Lawnmower 4.0, one of the, not only the greatest personal grooming product, but also one of the finer appliances that you'll ever put in your home. We're going to keep, if you listen to this program and do what we tell you, folks, we're going to keep you feeling good, smelling good, smooth, slick, soft, everything you need. Boy, I tell you, you could probably slip. Be careful once you finish with Manscaped and exfoliating and also grooming and moisturizing. You might just, when you'll slip down the shower drain, you'll be so slick. Have you tried the new, I'm asking you, have you tried this new shaver yet? This is a badass little thing.
Not yet.
Well, you need to. I've been meaning to talk to you about that. Anyway, that's what Manscaped has going on. What do you got going on this week?
Another action-packed week on the Arcadian Vanguard Podcast Network. Get information about all shows on Twitter at Superpodcasts or on Facebook, facebook.com/Arcadian Vanguard. A lot going on this week. Want to make mention of the latest Super Studcast for patrons of Ron Fuller's Studcast at patreon.com/Studcast. Ron talks with Arn Anderson, a man who got his first big break in Southeastern. Hear it today. Arn Anderson talking with the Tennessee stud Ron Fuller. Patreon.com/Studcast. Also want to make mention of the latest episode of Breaking Kayfabe with Baldrin and Barry. Jimmy Golden joins the show. Check it out today at baldrinpod.com or available wherever you find your favorite podcasts. A new short-form podcast is available right now for listeners of the Charting the Territories podcast. It is a wrestling history mystery. A new short-form podcast that will also be coming out. In this case, Al Getz examines some of the minor details that pro wrestling lore may have gotten wrong over the years.
What?
On this episode, a wrestler named Johnny Boyd, who isn't that Johnny Boyd. Check it out today at Charting the Podcast.
Wait, a fake Johnny Boyd?
You'll have to hear more from Wrestling History Mysteries and Charting the Territories, chartingthepodcast.com, available wherever you find your favorite podcasts, and of course, the 605 Super Podcast, The Mothership! Not one of my best ones. Go through the archive today at 605pod.com, available wherever you find your favorite podcast. New episode in production right now. The 605 Super Podcast, The Mothership! I don't have
Too
it
little,
today.
too late.
I don't have it today.